You can't go back once you started this damn journey.
Daddy, chill.
Changa on 1.
Oh, great heavens!
We're not finger popping each other's assholes.
Booked. Smoked in his butt. Smooth.
Yeah, it's very smooth.
Not sure if Conley made them honorary agents or if they have another fairy godmother, but it's starting to make sense why our first team was overrun so quickly.
Okay, but oh,
We fucked up.
Yeah, I did, I think. Let me think. Yeah. Yeah.
Plum here, g'day champions, how's it going? And welcome back to another Division 2 build video. Today we're going to be checking out my go-to striker build. This is the one that I use for just about everything. It's a solid all-rounder striker setup that works across the board. Raids, incursions, legendary missions, heroic control points, and even just your everyday farming. The reason I use this build is simple. I've got a heap of different loot and stacks of builds already. I really don't want to have to be juggling around with 8 different loadouts that are slightly different striker setups. So I put together one build that covers everything, and it's the one I trust to get the job done, no matter what mode I'm in, whether it's solo or in a team.
That sounds good.
Now recently we've had a massive wave of new players joining the game, which is absolutely fantastic. And a bunch of those players have been popping into my live Twitch streams. But it's not just the fresh agents, a lot of veteran players have been jumping in as well. Folks that have been turned away by other players and never finished a raid or an incursion run before.
That's wild.
So we've been spending a lot of time helping these players out. teaching raids and incursions and getting those exclusive juicy rewards and having a lot of bloody fun while we're doing it. With all these awesome players watching how easily we're clearing the content, they want to know what build I'm using. So I figured it's time to put together a simple and clear build breakdown of the striker build I use, plus a couple of easy little substitutions and variations to try depending on your style or gear. It's a super easy build to farm for and to put together. All the items are a part of the general loot pool, and it just takes a few runs of countdown and you should basically have this build all set up. The build is very user friendly and it encourages gunplay. Learning how to run a proper DPS build like this will help you across all aspects of the game, whether you're clearing control points or cracking the final boss in a raid. The other great thing about this video, we won't have any expertise upgrades on our gear. So what you see here is exactly what you can achieve even if you're still building up and farming your account.
Okay, overall, pretty good.
And hey, if you're a new player or you're just somebody that wants to jump in and do a raid or an incursion, join our Discord.
What can I say except you're welcome?
We can't guarantee that you'll get an exotic every time, but we will do our best to get you through the content. The link for our Discord is in the description below. But before we get into the build, welcome back to all you amazing subscribers. If you're new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, make sure you smash that subscribe button. If everyone can take a second to engage with the video, a like, a share, a comment, it's all going to help with the magic and the wizardry of the YouTube algorithm. We're going to set a 200 like goal on this video. Reaching that goal would be absolutely amazing. If you did want to support myself and the channel just a little bit further, remember we have channel memberships. You can click the join button below to see all the perks. And if you want to catch me live in action, jump on over and drop us a follow on Twitch. All the links for all my other socials are in the description below. Righto champions, with all that stuff out of the way, let's check out this build. As I said before, this is a very simple and very straightforward striker setup. 6 reds, no blues, no skill tiers. In my opinion, and mathematically, this is the strongest striker setup that will get you through all content in the game. We are rocking 4 pieces of the striker's gear set, chest and backpack included, with the Coyote's mask and the Fox's prayer knee pads. Now there is going to be a ton of slight variations that you can do on this depending on how you want to go. But because this is a super easy build to put together, this is what I suggest and recommend that people that want to do raids, incursions, or even legendary missions use. This setup is for pure gunplay. The build leans entirely into weapon damage and crit damage. There's no skills to crutch on, well, maybe the shield, but this is definitely going to help new players focus on their aim, their movement, their basic game mechanics, and smart positioning, which is always going to translate better in the harder PvE modes, such as your raids, your incursions, and your legendaries. Running the chest and the backpack is going to give you the strongest and easiest to use version of this set. Pull the trigger, land your shots, it's that simple. Now in saying that, there's always an exception to this. Striker's chest will be stronger depending on the game mode that you're playing. The Striker's chest can be swapped for a brand set chest with Obliterate for your missions and your open world farming if you like. Because some players do find it hard to keep and get those high volumes of stacks that the Striker's chest requires in that type of content. I obviously play a lot more aggressive than some and I don't seem to find it an issue. But for the incursion and most parts of the raid, I highly recommend you use the Striker's chest. Not only can you get more damage with it, it's also going to be an easier piece to farm for. When it comes to your backpack talents that increase your damage on kill, like Unstoppable Force, these will work better solo because you're not going to be competing with others for kills. Vigilance can also be another okay option if you can play smart, or you can mix your damage buffs with survivability and go with Memento. However, none of these backpack options I'd recommend for raids or incursions. Now, I know that we've got a couple of exotics on this setup which new players might not have, and that's fine. There are some very simple and easy substitutions. The Coyote's mask can be swapped for a piece of Grupo or Seska brand set. This is obviously going to depend on where your crit hit chance is sitting, relating to that 60% crit hit chance cap. I would mostly suggest swapping for Grupo and a crit chance mod if you've got them. Now when it comes to the gun itself, the St. Elmo's is crazy OP. This has to be one of the best and most user-friendly ARs in the game. Not only is it an absolute laser with fantastic RPM, it's got a larger mag size than other ARs due to its fixed attachments. The other attachments that it have are also very cool. It's going to include 15% crit hit damage, 15% crit hit chance, and a 10% weapon handling mod. Your weapon talent isn't damage based, but it will provide shock ammo, which is great crowd control. If you don't have a St. Elmo's, don't stress, there's a lot of other AR options you can use, and then you can pick a damage based talent. A FAMAS, a Carbine 7, a Police M4, even the Honey Badger are all great. Talent wise for easy damage, Optimist is probably your safest bet, but if you know what you're doing, Ranger and Strained are also very good. Then you've got talents like Fast Hands that don't directly impact your damage, but getting faster reloads does mean an increase to your DPS. When it comes to your secondary weapon, any version of an ACS-12 will work. The reason you want to be using this is because it's a fully automatic shotgun that fires pellets. Each shot that's fired has 8 pellets, and if you land all 8 pellets, that's 8 stacks of striker per shot. This is going to mean you can gain those striker stacks very, very quickly. And if you've got a few game smarts like shooting Razorback in the Dark Hours raid, or Thomas the Tank Engine in the Iron Horse raid, you can keep max stacks all the time. Now some players do have a preference and they like the rock and roll for that extra mag size. Fine, you do you. You just want to make sure that you got Detox on there as that third attribute. It's a simple option, it's more damage. Yes, some things you're going to be shooting is just purely to gain stacks and you're not going to be able to do damage to it. It's just easy to have one gun that fits most scenarios rather than those rare ones. And Detox is the way to go. My preferences when it comes to the ACS-12 is I like the lefty shotgun or just a regular one with brazen.
Thanks for the tip.
When it comes to your specialization, it's always going to be player preference and depend on the content and the position that you're playing. Majority of the time though, I will be on gunner, however for some of the raids, I will be swapping this out to survivalist or demolitionist. Just remember to spec into the weapon damage perk on your specialization for the weapon types that you're using. So what does the striker gear set do? 2-piece bonus is going to give us 15% weapon handling. We're also going to get a 15% rate of fire from the 3-piece bonus, and the 4-piece is called Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits increase your total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. Over time, however, we do lose stacks. Wherever you can, you do want to be stacking weapon damage and crit damage, just make sure you balance out your crit hit chance. For those that aren't aware, the cap of the crit hit chance is 60%, however, when making a build, you don't want to be at the cap, and we'll tell you why later. The reason I recommend the chest piece is for the chest talent, Press the Advantage. It's going to increase our striker stacks from 100 to 200. What's all this mean? It means we can get more stacks, which transfers to more damage. I will die on this hill. Chest pieces are a pain in the ass to farm for, and this one is very, very easy. That's why I recommend that newer players go for the striker chest. And just like our chest piece, our backpack also has a talent of its own. Risk Management increases the total weapon damage gain per stack of Striker's Gamble from 0.65% to 0.9%. So by running both at the same time, it means that we're going to start off with more damage, and we can gain more damage, which means more damage at the high end.
Tons of damage.
Now the reason I suggest not sitting directly on the crit hit chance cap is for items like this, the Coyote's Mask. Whether you're running it or somebody else in your team's running it, that will directly impact your base crit hit chance and crit hit damage. Obviously, if we're just playing that close range, we're only going to increase our crit damage. Most of the time for things like your incursions, you will be within that close range, so that's fine, but for your raids, you're probably going to be sitting in that mid-range most of the time. Then when it comes to your open world and your legendaries, it could be any of these or all of these. Personally, I recommend sitting at that 48 to 50% crit hit chance mark. I think that's a really good sweet spot to be. Now my preference is I prefer the Fox's prayer knee pads for that damage to targets out of cover. I wouldn't be recommending using the contractors because some of the targets that you might be fighting in endgame content don't actually have armor pool, but 99% of the time they will be out of cover. Detox, when it comes to the math behind it, is one of those multiplicative damages, so having this makes your build hit harder. For the holster, we've got weapon damage and crit chance, and for the striker's gloves, we have weapon damage and crit damage. It really doesn't matter if you're getting your crit hit chance through minor attributes or through your gear mods. Just keep an eye on it. As I said, go for that 50% mark. And when it comes to skills, it's always going to be player preference. 90% of the time on this setup, I'm running a shield. That's my crutch, that's my little extra bit of survivability. For raids, I think I've used it all. Reviver Hive, Decoy, Assault Turret, and for incursions too, we mix it up depending on the area. Jammer Pulses, Regular Pulses, Decoys, Booster Hives, and now even Smart Cover. But skills are always going to be very easy to swap on the fly. Righto champions, we should start to wrap this up. So finally, we're going to check out our stats. We are at 48% crit chance and 131 crit damage. Mainly because our mods aren't quite maxed out, but this is a solid starting point, and this is a good reflection if you're a new player where you should be at. Remember, there's no expertise whatsoever on the build, so what you see is exactly what you get. For the offensive stats, we have 100% all weapon damage, and even without expertise, we're at 30% AR damage. Obviously, if you're going to go down the path of expertising, these values will increase. Now don't forget, on top of all of this, we have that extra damage from Strikers. Strikers going to provide us with 0.9% amplified damage per bullet up to 200 stacks, which can equal a crazy amount of extra damage. I know somebody's going to watch this video and they're going to have the exact math equation. Pop that in the description below. And just while we're here, we will check out our defensive stats. Very, very low in armor, but we have a touch bit of armor on kill from our gunner specialization. But if you're using this build where it's intended, which is endgame content such as your legendaries, your raids, and your incursions, it won't matter. The sole reason is you're going to have a healer. That way you can play the build as truly intended, a pure gun DPS build. So that's the build champions, my go-to all-rounder striker build. This will be the build to get you through all content very easily. Whether it's heroic open world farming, legendary missions, incursions, or raids, this build's got you covered. Remember, this is just the foundation. You can adapt and evolve this build depending on the content and if you're solo or in a team. This is perfect for newer players or just anyone that's fresh to raids or incursions. And guess what? It's easy to farm for and it has zero expertise. But most importantly, it's going to help you and the people that you're playing with clear the content, and you will all have a lot of bloody fun.
I don't believe you.
So what do you reckon? Are you going to be a champion and have a crack at this build? What modifications would you make? Let me know down below. Thanks for tuning in, champions, and make sure that you show your support by smashing the like button on this video, and if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Everyone's support is always greatly appreciated. Remember to stay frosty, keep looting, keep shooting, and giving them hell. I really hope to catch you all in the next one. I'm Plum out.